This week's special through March 4th is $1 off crisscross pretzels, buy one, get one free on hot dogs, and $2 off Piedmontese brats. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
I'm softball player Jordy Ball, and I'm proud of my Nebraska roots, and I'm proud to be back home. And at Midwest Bank, they're proud to be your local community bank. They believe in family first, taking initiative, showing integrity, and rolling up their sleeves to support their local communities. They treat everyone like family, no matter where you're from. Whether you walk into a branch in York, Lincoln, Norfolk, or Pierce, you know you're going to be welcomed with a smile. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Golfing in 72 degrees and perfect conditions in Nebraska doesn't seem possible in the winter, but it is. Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep your clubs out year-round. Book a bay with some friends for a weekend or come by for golf and happy hour on a weekday. Spring leagues begin in February. Get signed up today. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex at West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf.
Attention! For the entire month of February, Acres has John Deere packaged oil and filters for 15% off. John Deere engineers its oil filters specifically for large ag equipment and commercial and residential mowers. With premium materials, these filters meet the unique demands of your farm and acreage. Following a strict maintenance routine with premium John Deere oil and filters ensures your equipment will run efficiently for years. Visit your local Acres store to start shopping today.
Automotive Solutions is Lincoln's one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs, from vinyl wraps to engine repair and maintenance. Automotive Solutions offers fleet services, as well as printing and graphic design for vinyl applications, plus installation of vinyl for boats, trucks, cars, and anything else you want wrapped. Perfection is their standard, and they never settle for less. Call today at 531-249-5600 or go to automotivesolutionslincoln.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions, 2024 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln. 93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
It's time to go one-on-one with DP. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Derek Pearson, brought to you by Canopy Street Market.
Boom. On a weekend. Appreciate you hanging out with us on a Saturday. It is a special Saturday as well. Several reasons. I will let you know what's happening along the way. I want to thank the folks from Canopy Street Market, Dan Swanson, Brad Moline, and others who make this happen each week. Take care, folks. If you're looking for some good corner store action, they've got a great deli. They've got meals made this morning, hot meals, cold meals, meals you can take with you for the go. Beverages, snacks, whatever you need. They have them at Canopy Street Market down in the Haymarket. Stop by. 402-464-5685 is the Starter Heyman text line. You want to be a part of what we're doing. You can ask questions and give your comments. It's a pretty good one to do that. And special reasons why. You can follow on the live video streams, Facebook, YouTube, X, and Allo channel 961. Allo channel 961. If you want to see what's going on, it'd be a good day to do that, because the conversation today is with the legend, Coach himself. Ron Brown joins us here on The Ticket. Coach, thank you once again for doing this. How are you, kind sir?
I'm good, DP. I love Saturday mornings. Thanks for inviting me again, man. I love being on with you.
Well, we had some. I tell you, it's always interesting that the texts and the messages I get after you and I have a conversation. Thursday night's conversation led a lot of folks to ask more questions, and was asking some of those spiritual and intellectual things that we lose in the sports field. We lose perspective that the people involved in sports are more important than the games. The games only matter because of the people. And you and I've shared with you that there's a book that I'm working on, and it asked the questions learned through decades of coaching. What are the lessons learned? And in those questions, right, it becomes what was the lesson, and then when did you learn it? What situation, circumstance caused it? And the first one that came to mind was that I learned to never choose the game over the person. To never choose the game over the person. The game is temporary. The person is our connection, our mission, our real purpose. We work the person, train the person, love the person, all of those things in play just to help the person in life. It's not, the game is not the end all be all. It may be the vehicle, but it's not the thing.
Right.
So for you, I had to learn this it's the thing that coaches hate the most, which is cut time, where you have to tell people that the dream will no longer go forward. And there's some delicacy and some tenderness, some humanity required in that. So I'll ask you, over the course of the year, sir, what are your thoughts when it comes to the game versus the player, and how you choose what the priority is?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think for coaches, it's pivotal, because we're foundationally always there. And we're reminded of it when we deal with parents that we're dealing with individual young men or young ladies who somebody loves them. Somebody has poured into them. And maybe you're thinking strategically, we need to go in a different direction. But mom and dad or somebody out there is reminding you, wait a minute, this is my boy, this is my girl. And you're constantly coming back to that. But I learned something years ago from a guy that I got to know, Tony Dungy, who's obviously a great NFL coach. And Coach Dungy and I got to talking one day about, I asked him kind of the same question. I said, you got a young man on your team who's really poured in. He's great in the locker room. He's a good player on the field. But because of big management and, salary caps and all these kinds of things, you're going to have to release this guy. You're going to have to cut him. And I said, how do you go about that? You're a follower of Jesus Christ. You care about not only the game, but you obviously care about people. Like, what's your approach to that? And this is what he said. He said, I really don't like cutting guys, particularly a guy who's great in the locker room, this, that, and the other. And he says, I remember one tight end I had on my team. He was not only great in the locker room, good player, like a second string type player, second tight end that goes in the game. So he played a fair amount, but he also was a member of the Bible study, a strong Christian guy. He and I believed a lot of the same things, but because of management and everything else, we felt like we had to release him. We had to cut him. And I said, well, what'd you do with that? I mean, how does that make you feel? I mean, do you really want to do that? Do you have to do that? He says, I really have to obey the governing authorities. And he said, I look at it this way. He said, when I release that guy, I've released him for the opportunity to go somewhere else and take those same great traits that he's learned from me and in this program and apply it somewhere else in another locker room and another playing surface. And I thought, you know what? That is a great way to look at it, because when you're coaching a player, you're not necessarily just coaching him for you. You're getting him ready for whatever the Lord wants to lead him to in the next year or two or what have you. So I thought that was a great way to look at it. And I think you can't go wrong when you operate out of that kind of integrity.
You say a thing that there is a line in the communication and the decisions that are made based on the coach's personal life, the coach's spiritual life, and the young person's personal and spiritual life. And at some point, you have to meet in the bridge. You have to meet in the middle of the bridge. That a coach and all of his things from one side of the bridge have to meet the young man, whether it be his parents, whether it be his high school coaches. You have to meet in the middle and decide, okay, can I take you back to my side with me? Are you going to go back to your side, and what are you taking with you? You go back to your side. I'm going to take some of this meeting in the middle with me. What do I want to take? How do you handle that really strange vortex that exists in today's world with coaching and faith? There is a line that appears to be a moving goalpost because in some cases it's expected that it's a part of what you do and how you do it. In some places it is asked to be set aside and to deal with the person rather than the faith. And then sometimes it's faith over person. So how do you personally deal with that? Because that's not even a Nebraska thing. That's a Ron Brown thing.
Yeah. And I think it's a life thing. Jesus said in the Bible, in the Word of God, he said, pick up your cross daily and follow me. Daily. Well, we coach daily. We're always coaching. I mean, if you're a coach, I don't care if you're with your son or daughter's team, or you're helping out coaching, or you're at a high school or college or NFL level, whatever it is that you're at, you have a daily coaching assignment. You're constantly on the phone. You're constantly pouring in. And I think when the mentality, DP, of I want to drop something, I want to deposit something in that kid, every one of my kids, every day, daily. If Jesus said daily, so let's take it literally, daily. Daily, I want to leave a deposit in their life. And so if I'm heavy on the truth of what's important, and I'm teaching my players and myself to be light on my feet, in other words, I don't possess you. Yeah. I have to release you sometimes. But if I'm pouring into you and depositing things in your life, wherever I leave you and somebody else picks you up, now you have something that I have given to you that's of value. And that's what I think the mentality is, that I don't own this kid. I have him for a period of time. How can I maximize his situation to the best of the ability that God gives me for that time, and then let the chips fall where they may after?
So then it becomes a matter of choosing that the faith is a strength for you. It is a positive for you. It's not a negative. It's not a judgment. It's not a, hey, I'm going to hold you accountable in a certain kind of way. Your faith is love-based. So when you're choosing to share that, you're sharing love with this young man, young woman, whoever it is. And this is for all the coaches who are out there, that if you say I'm working to build them better for the rest of the world, that it has to be love-based. And that really simplifies it for me.
No doubt. No doubt. It has to be love-based. And, I look at it this way, unapologetically, DP. I mean, let's just face the average university. The average university out there has, let's say, existentialist professors. Yeah. Philosophy classes. And they're not all teaching what I believe, biblical-based Christianity.
Okay.
So they're giving the student athletes, let's say that some of our athletes are involved in some of those classes, and they're hearing in the classroom, well, there is no right from wrong. There is no God. So those professors are being who they are. And the university has hired them, and the university has given them an opportunity to teach whatever it is that they're teaching. But so am I. And I'm not that. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. So when you come to my office, there is God. There is no, there is right from wrong. Yeah. And there are morals, and there are guidelines, and there is a consciousness that is biblically based. So does it mean that I'm fighting that professor or downgrading him or telling him he's no good or anything. No, it doesn't mean that. It simply means that I gotta be who I am. And when I rob that young man of who I am, then I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're not giving him authentic, and that is a problem.
God has given me the role for that moment of time at wherever it is that I'm employed at to be who I am. And if you're a man of integrity, you can't go against who you are, because integrity means indivisible. And it means that one as a whole number cannot be divided.
So in saying that on a coaching staff, let's just call it Joe University, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joe University, the fighting
Joes.
The fighting Joes of that university.
Yeah.
Right. That on that coaching staff of 20, 30, 40, whatever the number is, that there is a Ron Brown on that staff. And then there's the opposite of Ron Brown on that staff as well, because we know that we're FCC based. So we have to provide both sides of the opinion and conversation. And they're being authentic in their world. Right. And it may not be what Ron Brown believes or knows or has experienced.
Right.
But that's the beauty of the whole thing, is to give the young person options to choose from and say, be authentic to you, young person. Choose. Here's one side of this. Here's the other side of it. Choose your side.
Yes. Yeah. You're at a university. It's a system of learning. You're going to hear all kinds of diverse thinking and so forth and so on. At the end of the day, there's only going to be one truth. It's all going to come out in the wash. It's wherever you laid your emphasis on, that's the reality you're going to live out of. And with that particular reality that you believe in, like for me, following Jesus Christ, there's two things that are very important. One, accuracy. Two, authority. I get not only the right to be as accurate as I possibly can in displaying a lifestyle of following Christ, but I also get the privilege of the authority. I not only have the right to share my faith in Jesus Christ at even a non-Christian based university, I have the responsibility to do it as a man of integrity.
So in understanding that accuracy and truth, people sometimes will put a line between that, because you're telling what you know to be true versus what you believe to be true. And people have difficulty in trying to identify that from a coaching standpoint. When I say to Jackson, hey, here's the thing that you might want to consider. Now, I'm not demanding that he live the way that I live or believe what I believe. I'm offering him the ability to consume that from his own place. And I can't, as a 60-plus-year-old man of some knowledge and experience, I can't expect him to understand all of what I know to be true. So I give it to him. There is often the line, right, that I have to be considerate of Jackson's parents, because they've invested 20 years into the young man in full. When I'm interjected into his space, I have to be beholden to them, right? And then say, let me offer you this. And that's the part that I think people get weird about. If you're demanding that Jackson accepts your truth,
right,
versus offering your truth. And I think that's the way of quality coaching. And that's not even a faith thing. That's an experience, knowledge, skill,
and a responsibility.
Right.
I agree. I have a responsibility not to be forcing anything on anyone. But I go back to this, DP. You can't be null and void of who you are. We're not asking the existentialist professor to be null and void of who he is. He's teaching what he's teaching because that's what he believes. Neither should that be the case for the follower of Jesus Christ. You know, I had back in probably about 10 years ago, I had 3 NFL running backs in my room. I had Rex Burkhead, Amir Abdullah, and Andy Janovich. And all 3 played at least 8 years in the NFL, and one of them still playing. But the point is that these guys were really good players, but they were also very 3 different in their beliefs. You had a practicing Muslim, you had a born again Christian, and you had a Catholic. Okay. And all 3 of them came from different angles. I still had to be true to myself. I had to accommodate them in that, you know what, I'm not going to force something down their throat, because even as a follower of Jesus Christ, I realized that Jesus Christ didn't do that. Nobody you don't force people into the kingdom, but what you do is you present. And I presented what I believed to those young men. And you know what? The way I did it was, it's just kind of like a 5-minute optional period at the end of the meeting. Nobody ever left, and nobody ever complained.
Well, if love is made available, young people tend to lean towards it. The lean into love is legitimate, and whatever version of love that coach offers. I've been in spaces where, at a Christian academy in Salt Lake City, Utah. A lot of the conversation was, why are the young people there? Like, what's the priority? And again, you and I talk about pyramids all the time. About at the top of the pyramid is the thing that leans it the most. And you say, okay, this is what this is. Now, if in my space, my authority is football, then if I'm stepping into philosophy, I need to be degreed and hired to do so on a very specific case. And I know that at schools across the country, high schools, colleges, etc., that sometimes that blend, that blurring of skill versus authenticity tends to come into play. Like, why are you here? You're a football coach. Okay, just coach football and let the historians teach history, let the law folks teach law, let the medical folks teach medical. And then in your moment, because the moments will always happen in football. Well, football is the great mirror to a lot of things. Basketball is a great mirror to life for a lot of people. Baseball, softball, wrestling, whatever it is, all of those things, integrity, character, truth, all of those things come into play. And I find it interesting that in your longevity, friction happens because you're a truth teller. You're a truth teller. But what we also know is that not everybody wants to hear your truth.
Right. Absolutely.
Like, everybody wants to hear your truth. So what's the radar that sets off the Ron Brown truth bomb that has to happen in a place? And usually it's a matter of great friction, right? That a young man comes to you and says, again, as we said Thursday, that conversation in the corner where he has to whisper, "Hey, coach, I need a second. There's something going on." That in that space, you're trusted. And as you said, you have the responsibility to love them out of that corner back into the flow of life. How do you make that decision on crossing that line?
Boy, deep question. Deep question. Here's what I would say, DP, as I was examining your question and listening deeply as to what you were asking and thinking back on those moments. They are moments of what I would call discretion, moments of wisdom. There's a word wisdom, and that word hakma in Hebrew means skill in godly living. It's a skill set. It means that I need to make a proper, accurate, yet authoritative decision on a particular matter. That's wisdom. It's going beneath inside of the knowledge, inside of the cracks of knowledge and intellect, and looking as to how do I make application of the knowledge and the intellect and the skill sets and all this kind of stuff to make a right decision in this situation. So there are moments in people's lives where you get to enter in. There's a moment for a slam dunk. There's a moment for a 3-point shot. They're not always the same. It's not always the same every single time. I'm going to come down the court and take a 3-pointer every single time I come down. No, there's moments and moments for this, that, and the other. There are moments for me as a Christian that where I can enter in, where I see that young man, like, for example, there was a young man who was a kicker many years ago, way back in the 90s, I think it was, who came to me and he said, "Coach, I was engaged to be married, and I just lost my fiance in a car crash. She's dead." And he sat there in my office, DP, with tears in his face. he said, Coach, I don't know what to believe. What do you want me to do? I'm just going to stick with football.
Right.
It was more than football.
It was.
He didn't bring up football to me.
It was the person over the game.
Absolutely.
This is like this. This is why I
So
lean
you
to
feel
people.
my energy
You're right.
because of
Well, this is why I say to people that in having these conversations, you have to sometimes remove adjectives to get to the truth, to get to the accuracy. That if we're talking about educators, mentors, teachers, coaches, parents who are choosing the people. I didn't say player. I said the person. Choosing the person over the game. Choose that if you're doing right by that, if you're telling the truth at any point, the truth should not be a bad thing.
That's right.
The accuracy should never be a bad thing. And that often your experience, your knowledge, all of the high repetition, the high professional repetition of recognizing that in that corner, as you and I were talking about, the young man with his eyes down to the ground, right? His palms are there. He's just trying to find his way. What he needed was for you to lift him up.
DP, can I use this analogy?
Yeah.
Listen, I was a throwaway kid. I was a foster kid, a ward of the state of New York that nobody wanted. I was in an orphanage with a bunch of kids that never end up in homes. Somehow, some way, Arthur and Pearl Brown came as older people who could not have children of their own, came and chose me from that orphanage and brought me home and eventually took me off the foster kids list and said, we want you to be ours. We're going to change your life, change your name, change everything. Okay. So I became their son.
Mm-hmm.
And they fed me and they gave me a new life and they gave me everything. And if somebody came to me, DP, and said, hey, listen, great story, Brown. Nice story of coming out of foster care, being adopted into a new home, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Not every kid has that. And not everybody believes that. So you know what? You're only allowed to do that in certain buildings on Wednesday night and Sunday night. But outside in the public, when you go to all these public buildings and so forth, these universities, whatever, you can't tell that story about how much you love your parents. Wouldn't I be right by saying, go take a hike, man? I didn't love too stinking much to keep my mouth shut. So when this young man comes to me with a story, a gloomy story in his life, he doesn't even know where he stands when he's just lost his fiance. And I have to sit there and say, well, I don't think I can talk about Jesus Christ here because we're at a university. Bones on that, man.
But you know that happens.
I've been loved too stinking much.
You know,
keep my mouth shut.
Right? That you know that happens. That there are people who are put in situations as North Stars, right? And young people come to them, and that often we have said that we are going to choose the business of education, the business of college athletics, the business of mentoring and teaching and educating over the people. Over the people. And ultimately, that if we can't get the right people in those positions, that's an us thing. That's not a young person thing. That means we need to get people who not only are prepared and have experienced enough to make that decision and have those conversations, that we need to do a better job of making sure that when those people are good at what they're doing and with good intention and good information, right? Truth, accuracy, right? Those, and want the responsibility of loving on the young people, that we let them do it.
You know, DP, there are often rewards in that. So this same young man does find another woman, does get married, DP, and they do have a baby. And they ask me, Coach Brown, would you come and be at our dedication services and speak on behalf of our little child? So, because of the name of political correctness, I didn't obey the political correctness, and I, quote, got outside of those boundaries and went in and shared my faith of the Lord Jesus Christ. And this young man becomes a Christian, gets married to another Christian lady, and has a baby that they want to dedicate to the Lord. And they asked me to come, a football coach who happened to share his faith that day with them. Now, I look back on that and said, I've been loved too stinking much. to keep my mouth shut about what's right. Now, is there a wrong way to share my faith? Absolutely there is. Have I violated that? I probably have. I don't want to do that. But you know what? Are there things that I could change? If I wish I could have changed, I could change. Yeah, I wish I could have rethought that one, redid this one. Yeah. But you know what? I'm learning along the way too. But in terms of the integrity of my heart, of wanting to share with them what I believe, I not only have the right, but I have the responsibility, DP, as a man of integrity to do that.
A man of love. That's the thing, right? We'll throw it a break. We'll come back. We'll carry on with Coach Ron Brown here, one-on-one Saturday mornings on The Ticket.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey there, fellas. It's your girl Jordan with Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Picture this. You're in the doghouse and flowers just won't cut it this time. Enter jewelry, the ultimate peace offering. It's a gesture that speaks volumes, showing her you're willing to go the extra mile to make things right. So next time you're in the doghouse, remember, diamonds are a guy's best friend too. Until next time, this is Jordan at Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Happy shopping, guys.
Hi, my name is Molly Party. I'm a realtor with MP Dodge Real Estate. I'm a newly licensed agent and considered numerous brokerages before deciding on MP Dodge. I chose the company that gives me the most support in my new career, plus guidance and encouragement along the way. MP Dodge has a unique mentoring program for new agents. It's helped jumpstart my career and has a supportive management team and administrative staff. So if you're contemplating a career in real estate, look no further than MP Dodge. It will be the best decision you make.
It takes hard work to make Nebraska the right place to raise a family, build a business, or grow a community. We're counting on working parents to make it happen, and they're counting on childcare professionals to have their backs. Employers and other contributors can earn up to a $100,000 tax credit for strengthening childcare in our communities and state. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretaxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey farmers, do you run a precision planting monitor in your planter tractor? Boyd Farm Outfitters is hosting our annual 2020 Monitor Clinic at the Holthus Center in York on Wednesday, March 19th. They'll run through everything on the monitor, from basic setup to more complex downforce settings and everything in between. You'll learn agronomy principles behind some of the monitor settings and will leave refreshed and ready to plant. Representatives from Precision Planting will be on hand to handle any questions that you can throw at them. Visit BoykFarmOutfitters.com for all the details and to reserve your spot.
A new year means it's time to try new things. If you haven't tried Fierce Cheese Spread yet, the time is now. For the days you don't want to go to the gym, don't worry. Fierce Cheese Spread is there to cheer you up. And for the days you do get to the gym, why not celebrate when you get back with the best dip around? Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Fierce Cheese Spread. No event or party is complete without it on your table.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Husker fans, excited for some softball action at Bowling Stadium this year, but can't commit to a full season ticket? They've got you covered. Introducing the On Deck Deal. Snag tickets to 5 Husker home games for as little as $30. This partial season lets you choose any 5 games, including one from the Maryland series. Whether you prefer general admission or reserve seating, packages start at just $30. Get your On Deck deal today at huskers.com/tickets. 93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
You're listening to One-on-One with DP, brought to you by Canopy Street Market on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. The legend, Coach Ron Brown, on a conversation on the weekend. It's cold out in Lincoln. Hopefully the sun is out, and hopefully it's going to get to work and knocking some of this chill out of the air.
I know this, DP.
Mm-hmm.
The temperature went up in this room a little bit in the last conversation.
Well, but see, here's the thing, Coach Brown. This is. I went away from the early days of sports talk was all take-driven sports radio, debate radio, right? Anger. My voice needs to be louder than yours. My point has to be righter than yours. No. I was told this as a young radio guy. Have a conversation. Get to the facts, right? Which is speak what you know and you've experienced, not what you do not know. And if you do not know, be curious about what you do not know. And so in these rooms with these microphones, it literally is a thing to ask questions. Sometimes I know the answers to the questions before I ask. Sometimes I don't. And I'm okay either way. Because whatever you're speaking of, and again, you're speaking from accuracy, truth, and responsibility. Imagine that everybody spoke from those 3 things. Now, that's you and I being hoity-toity and saying this is the standard that we work from. Not everybody works from that.
Right.
Not everybody can. Not everybody's lived a life. Listen, my testimony is not that I have been king of the hill. I have stood above and seen beyond. No, sir. My testimony is that I lived a full life on all sides of the spectrum at all levels. When I speak of something, I'm speaking from something I know, something I've experienced myself. And in doing that, giving good people an opportunity to say who they are, why they are, is one of the great gifts that this radio station allows us. It allows us to have this conversation because I'm not sure there are a lot of radio stations that could have this conversation.
And I appreciate that about you because you do throw it out there. And I was thinking of something today. There's a verse in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 12 in the Bible where the Apostle Paul tells young Timothy, Apostle Paul's getting ready to get his head chopped off. And he's telling his understudy, Timothy, listen, son, you're going to have to take over the church. You're going to have to be a man of courage. Because he said this in verse 12 of chapter 3, 2 Timothy. He said, those who desire to live godly in Christ will suffer persecution. And I believe that the word of God is true. So in other words, he was giving us the answer to the test. Look, if you're going to follow Jesus Christ, you're going to get persecuted. People are not going to like it. They're going to hang you in effigy the way Jesus Christ was hung literally on a cross. So you can't sit here as a man of what you believe and be a cheerleader the rest of your life. Nothing against cheerleaders. There's a role and a place for them. but we're called to be umpires. We're called to call a good game. And as a coach, I think it's really important to put your umpire hat on, or if you're an administrator, to put your umpire hat on, because you got all kinds of different belief systems there. So how are you going to now create a culture where people can live out their truth and it not being somehow cast into some political equation that just fits with yours? Can you handle the truth of what I believe about the Bible, or what that existentialist professor teaches, over there? Is your university or is your culture able to sustain or handle and support that particular point of view? It may not agree with it, but have you allowed for that to take place within reasonable boundaries of expression?
I have pushed. I come from a family of ministers, so I know. And do I carry it the way that they do or that you do? No, but I'm not wrong in how I carry my love for the universe and the people in it. Faith-based conversation. And again, if you replace faith with love, then it simplifies a lot of the conversation for folks who need to receive it, right? I can't feed somebody something that they won't consume with passion and malice. Some people I've got to talk into. Some people I've got to inject it into the space that we're in. I don't have a problem with somebody on this side of the spectrum having their belief system and somebody on the other side, because ultimately, if I can sit next to them and have a conversation with them, those things don't really matter. I need to be present. If the gift is that I should be present with you, I can't go into this and go, well, Ron Brown is this. No, he's Ron Brown. He's Ron Brown. God made Ron Brown just as he made Ron Brown. I don't need to dress up and change anything about how I talk about Ron Brown. It is a magnificent thing. Experience, knowledge, truth, accuracy, authority. And the same applies for a young person who doesn't know, a grown-up who doesn't know, a grown-up who thinks he knows and doesn't know, which is the great challenge for all of us. You get put in rooms to love on people. And you talk about the friction that happens because you are trying to give people wisdom, knowledge, authority. You're shepherding them. But we know that shepherding and coaching requires friction. It absolutely requires friction. That you're going to be put in situations where Ron Brown really, you know what? I'd like to go Ron Brown 100 on this young man because that's what you think they need. And then there'll be somebody that goes, he could have done that at 60. But that wasn't for them. It was for you. It was for you. Yeah. And I can see in you that you want to help. You want to help.
Well, the other thing, DP, is that the language is a little different in different situations. For example, I recruited a young man who played here for us. He was an outstanding cover corner for us back in the 90s. He worked here for a while, no longer at Nebraska, but a guy named Kenny Wilhite, who grew up in a really rough section of St. Louis.
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
We love 1-9, man. That's
man. When I went to recruit him, I felt that neighborhood. But anyhow, Kenny, we recruited him out of JUCO, and we had him ready to come in that particular summer to get ready for training camp. It was like right before he came to training camp, he was at a party back in North St. Louis, and his brother, something was happening with his brother. Somebody pulled out a gun, and Kenny Wilhite did something that really demonstrated to me how much he loved his brother. He dove in front of the bullet, and the bullet caught him on the elbow. In other words, he was willing to die for his brother at that moment. The bullet caught him on the elbow or shoulder or something. He had to miss that year. But I always think to myself from that day, man, Kenny Wilhite sure must have loved his brother. But you know what? The love didn't come in, hey, how you doing, young brother? How you doing? You know, there's this soft, gentle, compassionate kind of love. And sometimes I think love today, DP, is just all about this, soft and making somebody feel good and always, building their self-esteem and so forth and so on. Sometimes love is very aggressive. Sometimes love means that you tackle somebody or you get in their face because of your love for them. And that was a very aggressive, that moment of Kenny Wilhite diving in front of a bullet to save his brother's life, to me, it's like more than 100,000. Oh, I love you, buddy. You're my buddy. No, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes the love language changes and we have to be prepared to handle. So an intense person, whether it's a professor or coach or parent, or whatever it is, over their sons or their students' performance or how they're living, if it's always about the tone of voice or the boldness of their stand, I think you have to be careful not to just have a prerequisite definition of love without understanding the aggression.
That pre-recorded text, that pre-recorded statement using the same tone in every situation doesn't work.
Right.
It doesn't work. Being present matters. And a part of the authority and the responsibility is you recognizing which is required when it's required. You know that there are certain people that need to be spoon-fed. You know there are people that need a kick in the pants. You're right in both of them, no matter what people see, because there are people that are going to see you with a kick in the pants, think that that's what you do all the time. And there are people going to see you spoon-fed and think that that's what you do all the time. But neither is true. Neither is true. In each case, you have earned the right to make that decision because of your knowledge. You know these young people.
Well, and then there's, whether it's a department, human resources, or whatever it is that's looking for all these kinds of things, what do you do with the coach or the professor or the athlete or anybody who says GD? They're damning God. Well, dog, I'll tell you what, that's pretty offensive to me. If I come over here and call you the N-word or the H word or whatever it is that offends us in the culture today, what is done or what is ever said about somebody who damns God? There's nothing. Nobody seems to make a big deal of that.
Well, I would challenge you because there are too many people who love God for that to be universal. There are cases where that happens, but in those rooms, in those corners, those conversations of me pulling the person that called me the N-word, I have to choose love and say, hey, listen, come to this corner and let's have a conversation. That's not for everybody. I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I'm going to get you right.
Right.
And I think that gets missed sometimes.
But we throw it out there. We throw it out there. For example, you go to a game and, before the game, they said that anybody uses homophobic language or racial language or this, then you're violating our rules and so forth and so on. But nobody mentions if you say something about God or what have you.
Is it your people? Or do your players know that that's unacceptable?
Well, that's what you're asking. Yes.
Your players know.
That's what's important.
See, that part, that the grown-ups in the room, that the leadership in the room sets the standard for that sort of stuff. And if you get two leaders who both have full understanding that that's unacceptable, that to their crew, to their mass, to their congregation, they know that none of those works. GD is not acceptable, N-words not acceptable, all those things, that hate isn't responsible because that's not why we're here. And that's not who we are.
So you make a great point. Sometimes we're waiting for some governing authority nationally or university-wide or whatever. But you know what? One of the beauties of being a coach is that you get to create your own rules. So here's one. Like my basketball coach, going back to him again in high school, he was sick and tired of us. We had some talented players on our team just being ball hogs. So he says, from now on our team and our space, we have a new rule, and it's called hog call. And he said, anytime I see any of you trying to go one-on-one with a guy when there's another guy wide open for a shot, he says, I'm calling a hog call. The other team gets the ball. So in practice, if we're in summer league, if we're whatever, playground ball, whatever it is, we have instituted what we call a hog call, and it's a turnover, and the other team gets the ball. And we said, well, coach, there's no such thing as that in the legislation of high school basketball. They're not going to call it, he said, in legislation. But on this team, up in here, this is how we're going to operate. And he changed the culture of our team with that.
This is how that parents and coaches, educators being on the same path, that listen, that sort of thing is unacceptable. And in that space, we'll go to break so that we can be on time. But I do want to stick a pin right there and come back to this. That everything that happens on an athletic field, in a locker room or otherwise, is either coached or allowed. It's either taught or allowed.
Amen.
And if you can't tell me what day in practice we set aside and either talked about the words that we use or practice the words that we use. And if you use a word on Saturday on game day that we haven't used all week, guess what? That is on us. We'll come back to this with Coach Brown here on The Ticket.
Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Husker fans, excited for some softball action at Bowlin Stadium this year, but can't commit to a full season ticket? They've got you covered. Introducing the On Deck Deal. Snag tickets to 5 Husker home games for as little as $30. This partial season lets you choose any 5 games, including one from the Maryland series. Whether you prefer general admission or reserve seating, packages start at just $30. Get your On Deck Deal today at huskers.com/tickets.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger. And future stronger you can get started now by saving $28 or more when you join today. You in? We have all the best in-class equipment you could ever need to keep stepping it up. And free fitness training to help you mix up your routine. Plus, most clubs are open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends February 28th. See Home Club for details.
Husker fans, excited for some softball action at Bowlin Stadium this year, but can't commit to a full season ticket? They've got you covered. Introducing the On Deck Deal. Snag tickets to 5 Husker home games for as little as $30. This partial season lets you choose any 5 games, including one from the Maryland series. Whether you prefer general admission or reserve seating, packages start at just $30. Get your On Deck Deal today at huskers.com/tickets.
From the Sandhills to the Metro and everywhere in between, the Nebraska State Patrol is dedicated to keeping Nebraska safe. And now is your chance to join the mission. With a statewide SWAT team, criminal investigations, aviation, drone operations, Husker detail, and more, there are unlimited ways to define your career with a title that stands for excellence. Trooper. Applications open February 24th. Visit NebraskaTroopers.com to get ready to patrol the good life.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
It takes hard work to make Nebraska the right place to raise a family, build a business, or grow a community. We're counting on working parents to make it happen, and they're counting on childcare professionals to have their backs. Employers and other contributors can earn up to $100,000 tax credit for strengthening childcare in our communities and state. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretaxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Early break.
Line of the night
On the group chat.
If that was the draw, says Jake, I'd throw a pizza at the window.
What is that?
What does that mean?
And what I text back right away. What does it? It means
Well, he
exactly
texted
what
back
it said.
to laughing emoji.
Yes.
I have no clue what that means. Is what Coach Bush said.
With Steve Sipple, Jake Sorensen, and Bill Bush from 6 to 9 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, farmers. Do you run a precision planting monitor in your planter tractor? Boyd Farm Outfitters is hosting our annual 2020 Monitor Clinic at the Holthus Center in York on Wednesday, March 19th. They'll run through everything on the monitor, from basic setup to more complex downforce settings and everything in between. You'll learn agronomy principles behind some of the monitor settings and will leave refreshed and ready to plant. Representatives from Precision Planting will be on hand to handle any questions that you can throw at them. Visit BoykFarmOutfitters.com for all the details and to reserve your spot.
Salt Lake City is not only Lincoln's newest brewery, but they're also now serving food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their peanut butter and jelly burger with bacon and cheddar cheese, or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. Don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 11 a.m. every day but Mondays at 8th and R.
You hungry? You know you are. We got chicken fingers, crunchy, fries are golden crispy, baby. Yo, don't forget about the cane sauce, baby. Ooh, right, here's the spot. Hello.
You're listening to One on One with DP, sponsored by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
One nation under a groove. Oh,
yeah.
We are. Listen,
OG right there.
Right? Like I made a point to tell people, and part of the groove of the song, and loving this, is that I can replace the one nation under everything.
Yeah.
That if it's not about all of us, it can't be good for all of us. Right? Like stop putting people on ends of the spectrum or putting them in a place. Just deal with the person. It's going to be fine. Magic just stopped through. And there are some texts I want to read before we get out of here. Says, Coach Brown, thank you for always speaking what is right and not sometimes socially acceptable. My greatest accomplishment has been finding God again and allowing him to teach me. And one of the best things I've ever seen is your prayer before the Penn State game. I watch it quite a bit. Thank you for being you, and thank you for bringing our God into the lives of people that sometimes wouldn't find it. Bill and Bennett says this. He says, DP, you should have Coach Brown on more often. Working on it. He is one of the best at getting people to follow his message. It is the thing. Rodney says this, way to go, Coach Brown. Grateful to be able to partner with you in the faith as a coach. Thank you, DP, for making this happen. Here's the thing, that patience and understanding in this space is that, pursuing Ron Brown for 2 years. Hey, man, these folks need to hear you. Work it out. We're not going to make people uncomfortable on campus. We're not trying to poke and get behind the curtain of Husker football. Nope, not trying to do it. Not trying to intercede and cause friction where it doesn't need to be.
Right.
These are lessons. You are a greatly knowledgeable sage when it comes to faith, sports, and these young people. And we cannot mute wisdom. We cannot mute knowledge. We cannot mute the truth. And I won't have it. I won't have it. But I'll say this thing, and again, I will close with this, and you can give your 2 minutes on it. But that all things that happen within our programs, under our watch, under our guide, are either coached or allowed. And sometimes you just allow things because out of convenience and for the greater good of what your mission is. You, sir, have the ability to change the room, any room that you're in. And I think when you say authority and responsibility, that is maybe your greatest task on a day-to-day basis. And we are grateful that it is you who has been chosen to do so, sir.
Well, that's very kind of you, DP. But, you know, like all of us, you know, we have our share of friction. If you know everything about me, if you knew all the things that I have done, said, you know, haven't stood up for, haven't lived out with integrity, you would never want to get near me. Of course, it would be true also if I knew everything about you and all you all out there, I wouldn't want to get near you either. The reality of it is the Bible says all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. And so the friction, the mess that I've made with my life, the Lord Jesus Christ agreed to come in and forgive me and give me a brand new life. And DP, that's changed me. And that's not just me, that's everybody. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him will not perish, but have eternal life. The whole world, that's every single human being that's ever lived. And I firmly believe that. But yes, and still in the boundaries that we have on this earth, we can't force that message on people. You know, we have to go where it fits. We're called to deliver the goodies wherever we go. I can't be not who I'm supposed to be. But at the same time, if it's not fitting in this particular space or with that particular person, I can't force it. It's a jigsaw puzzle. It's got to fit, and God has to be the fitter.
Yep. It is amazing that in choosing the person, it requires that you're present. I can't make it any simpler than that we get caught in the long game of where we're trying to get to without recognizing where we are and how that person got there. We know we're barely aware of how we got there. We cannot miss the fact that we don't know how people got to where we meet them.
Right.
We're just, hey, bro, I'm putting it on a shirt, but we're just a bunch of people meeting people in the middle of bridges.
That's right.
That really is
a pawn on the board, man.
Yeah, we're just people meeting on the bridge, and if we agree that I cannot blow up the bridge, we're going to be all right.
But what's comforting to me, DP, is that I serve a God who knows, who has the final picture of that jigsaw puzzle. He knows where all the pieces fit. And if I'm faithful with the one piece that I've been given, then that's my mission. And that's any of our missions.
Coach, we will do this again next week. Thank you, kind sir, for your time on a Saturday and loving on Lincoln, Nebraska.
Amen. Thanks for the privilege.
Appreciate you, brother. Don't go anywhere. We've got Todd Euler is going to join us. Man, the walk-on supreme. He's going to tell his stories. He's got his young lady that was in the Nebraska women's wrestling tournament, and things didn't go well, but he's learning to lead as well, and it's really cool to hear him talk about that. So hopefully,
give Todd a hug from me, man.
Right? Hopefully, I think he's doing it remote. I think he's doing it from the tournament. Is he? He's doing it from the tournament. But Todd, we appreciate you. Don't go anywhere. It's a full Saturday here on The Ticket.